Break, 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 break.
Yeah, good afternoon, Colin. ZL2 Fox Charlie, ZL2 FAD. Thank you for that. You are 4 and 5 to probably 7 to 9. So yeah, coming in and out, probably similar to report to me. Anyway, I won't keep you up. Thank you both for the feedback and QSO, much appreciated. So ZL2 Charlie, ZL2 Foxtrot Charlie, ZL2 Foxtrot Alpha Delta.
Break, break.
ZL4 Papa Oscar.
ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, this is ZL4 Pacific Ocean. Hi, I don't know if the other guys are copying, but maybe they've already gone.
First contact.
Name here's Les, Lima Echo Sierra. How's copy? We're in Masterton also. ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, this is ZL4 Papa Oscar.
ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. Yeah, g'day, thanks very much. Name here is Charlie and the QTH is Wellington. Just doing the first contact with this little homebrew rig. So I wouldn't mind a signal report if I could there, Les. Thank you. Like I say, name here is Charlie. ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, this is ZL4 Pacific Ocean. Roger, Roger Charlie, copy that. You're in Wellington and you're 4 by 3 to 2.
Okay.
4 by 3, almost to 3, down to 2.
Yeah.
Very, very, very weak here. Fortunately, we've got a low noise level.
Not surprised, only a couple of watts.
A nice quiet location. We are in Solway, Masterton, and running a IC756 Mark II and a 40 meter dipole at 40 feet high. Back to you, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. This is ZL4 Papa Oscar.
ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. Yeah, thanks very much, Les. Yeah, I'm only transmitting a couple of watts here, so the 4x3/4x2 is not surprising. You're coming and going, but when you're strong, you're a 5x9 plus. You have great copy here in Wellington. Yeah, this little rig here is a little homebrew rig that just got completed up this afternoon with the power amplifier. It's all sort of self-designed, and yeah, it's never going to be a competition rig, and it was never supposed to be a competition rig, but just a little rig that's sort of, I guess, the sort of the size of the palm of your hand, which I can take tramping with me. And like I say, just putting out a couple of watts so it doesn't drain the battery too much. The antenna here is a homebrew half-wave dipole. Unfortunately, I haven't quite got the same height that you've got at your end. It's just sort of sitting a couple of meters above the eave of the house, and runs up the side of a hill and then over to a tree in the backyard. But it's good enough for me, and that's all I can do, unfortunately, at this QTH. Now, I didn't want to jump in on that other conversation. I just heard a couple of people up on frequency, and I just wanted to get a radio call, or more the point, a radio check on this new rig. But I'll pass it back to you there, Les. ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
Okay, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, this is ZL4 Papa Oscar. Well, Charlie, I copied about half of that.
Okay.
You faded right out at times. I gather you are running a homebrew rig, and you've got a half-wave dipole, not very high.
No.
And you're copying me okay, but you are very, very, very weak here. Could you tell me what you are running, Charlie? What power are you running there, over?
ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. I'm only running roughly a couple of watts, 2 watts I would say. The power amplifier I want to redesign. It's not the best, but hey, you know, it's enough to get out. But no, certainly the conditions here are coming and going with a little bit of fading there. But yeah, only 2 watts there, Les. 2 watts over.
You hit S3 that time. You hit S3 that time. And copied all of that over.
No, that's great, thanks, Les. Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, so like I say, just a little homebrew rig here. I don't really use commercial rigs. I've got a Kenwood TS120 Victor, which I use for doing radio checks and sort of monitoring the signal. But all of my radios here are all sort of homebrew, which sort of gives me a lot of enjoyment trying to work out how they work and doing the design work. So, like I say, they're never going to be competition rigs. They're never going to be perfect. But hey, it's what I enjoy, and it's part of the hobby which I get the most out of. Anyway, Les, I won't hold it too much. I'll pass it back to you there. ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
Yeah, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. This is ZL4 Papa Oscar Roger Charlie. And all okay. Yeah, there's a lot of fun in building homebrew equipment. I did it for about 40 years. And now basically I only do antenna work and power supply work. But I've had a lot of fun. I've been in ham radio since 1967, and I still going strong after 52 years or whatever it is. So there you go. But I don't think I really worried about winning competitions, Charlie.
No.
It was all about self-education and experimentation.
I agree with that.
Anyway, I'll let you go. I wonder if Freddie is still there. He may also be interested in a report. He's in Palmerston North, and I wonder if you're there, Freddie. So I'll give a break between overs here. ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike with a pause for ZL2 Fox Alpha Delta. This is ZL4 Papa Oscar.
Fox Alpha Delta.
Good afternoon, Les. ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Foxtrot Alpha Delta. Freddie here, yes, in Palmy, hearing you loud and clear. Of all the guys, you're just booming through 5 and 20 plus.
Wow.
There's 5 and 20 plus. I can just discern Charlie.
Yeah.
Trying to feed that over to him. Pass that on to him. He's really lost in the noise up here. But you are just booming through here, Les. Over.
Roger. Thank you, Freddie. ZL2 Fox Alpha Delta with ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. This is ZL4 Papa Oscar. Fine business, Freddie. You're 5 and 9, and you're very consistent 5 and 9.
It's 5 p.m. here at the
No
moment.
QSB at all. No QSB at all, and solid 5-9. So you're doing very well with that low antenna. Okay, Charlie. Yeah, Freddie says you are not really making it into Palmerston North. Mostly you're fading out. He can just hear you from time to time there. So there you go. How's that, Charlie? ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. ZL4 Papa Oscar.
ZL4 Papa Oscar, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, and ZL2 Foxtrot Alpha Delta. Yeah, I'm picking up Freddie here, no problems, 5x9. A little bit of fading in and out, but when he's coming through, it's certainly loud and clear, so no problems at all. Like you there, Les, I enjoy the homebrew, but I don't want to call it an Achilles heel, but something which I want to do more on is the power amplifiers. I've got the theory, and I build up the circuit and simulate the circuit, and while the simulation looks good, whatever it is, the practical circuit is never as good. So I think I'm going to spend the next couple of months just going back to basics and see if I can really nail a couple of power amplifiers. For me, I'm only really interested in the sort of the QRP work, so I'm not into QRO or the high power stuff. But I think I might spend, like I say, a little bit of time just trying to work out the power amplifier side of things. Anyway, what I'll do, I'll let you have a chat with Freddie. Thank you very much for coming back with the signal report there, and I might do some more work on this radio over the next few months, and might catch you back on the air. But like I say, thanks very much, Les, and if you could pass on to Freddie, he was a 5x9 into Wellington, no problems at all. ZL4PO, ZL2 FAD, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike clear. Thanks, gents.
Okay, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike in the route, ZL4 Papa Oscar. Okay, that's good. You faded out again, Charlie, but I copied most of that, and you came up to a 3 again. You're doing very well for 2 watts, actually. Very well for 2 watts. I'm running around 50 watts, around 50 watts. I've got the whip turn back here on the IC756 because it's all local stuff, and I've got a good antenna. So Freddie, Charlie is copying you pretty well down there in Wellington. 73 Charlie, catch up with you again, and thanks very much for the QSO. Freddie, to take it, ZL2 FAD, ZL2 CPM, ZL4PO.
So tempted. I might just stay in this for a little while, then I'll talk about the radio.
Thank you for the feedback from Charlie down there. I've now scaled back to 50 watts. How am I making through to Masterson at the minute? Over.
You're still 5 and 9 and slightly over at times. times. So very good.
Okay, I'm going to, I'll just turn it off here.
Okay, Roger. So, Les, what is your antenna setup? Because as I said, you're just booming through here. Over.
Roger, well, I've just been up the tree again and got the...
Okay, what I might do, rather than just sort of having this going forever, I might just turn that off. Okay, so, let's just turn this light on here to provide a little bit of light, and we're going to have a bit of a talk about. So that was the first QSO. It's 5 p.m. and 40 meters is just starting to come alive. So let me just zoom up a little bit, and maybe we can have a bit of a talk about what we have. Just unplugging things. So you recall that the radio... Sorry, let me just move this around, might be a little bit easier. What I had been working on over the past couple of weeks was the receiver side of the house. So that's on the right hand side of the divider wall there, and then just over the last week or so just having a bit of a play around with the power amplifier side of things. I'll put the schematics up onto the blog, but basically we have the output of the last mixer there that's just mixing up our IF that's been coming through the IF strip back up to our desired transmit frequency. It's coming through here. Initially I didn't have this little boost amplifier here, say a pre-driver amplifier. I was just feeding it straight into the bandpass filter, then into the driver circuit that we saw from a couple of weeks ago, or a few days back I should say, and then into the IRF 510 power amplifier here. I underestimated how much power was actually coming out of that final mixer here. The measurements I had taken were a little bit higher, but it turned out to be not, it just wasn't quite driving it as much as it could. I'm still not happy with this whole power amplifier here, and I do want to redesign all of this, but hey, look, you know, I'm getting out and the conditions are good, then certainly the radio bowl account seems to be sounding fine, so no complaints on the audio there from that first QSO just a few minutes ago. But anyway, like I say, what I had to do then in the end is I just tapped what was the output of that final mixer that was going into the bandpass filter. I'm now just passing back through another 3906 amplifier. That configuration there, the core amplifier there, is exactly the same as the other amplifiers, i.e. the antenna amplifier here, and down there the two IF amplifiers. So that's a 5 milliamp quiescent current for that device. The input and the output impedance I've got for 50 ohms, so 50 ohms to just over 200 for the calculated input impedance for the amplifier there. So I've just rounded that to 200 ohms, and I'm running with a 10 turns to 5 turns, so a turns ratio of 2 to give me an impedance transformation of 4. So 200 divided by 4 equals, so again, the other way around, 50 times 4 gives me 200 roughly for the input. And then on the output, 10 turns to 5 turns, so presenting to the collector roughly 200 ohms, or in fact 200 ohms, and then transforming that through that, again a turns ratio of 2, therefore an impedance ratio of 2 squared equals 4, dropping that down to 50 ohms to feed into the bandpass filter. So comes in here, comes out of here, through the bandpass filter, and then through what was the original configuration for the power amplifier. The two N3053s, and then, like I say, an IRF 510. The RF 510 is nothing special. I'll put this, like I say, I'll put the schematic up on the blog. On this side here, we have a 10K trim pot. That 10K trim pot is receiving 5 volts from the 5 volt regulator on this side. That's providing 5 volts for the screen, for the SI5351, as well as the little Pro Mini down there. So I just took a tap off that same 5 volt line that feeds that 10K pot. I've got the tap from that 10K pot, then goes through an RFC, and then goes straight into the gate of that IRF 510 MOSFET. Capacitor coupled in through 100 nanofarads is the RF coming from the driver. I've got that pot set to give a quiescent current of 100 milliamps. So I've got 100 milliamps flowing through that with no signal, and then the signal goes in on top of that. I played around with different configurations for the output circuit on that particular amplifier. In the end, I just settled on, seemed to give the best performance, a 10-turn, where's the camera? Yeah, a 10-turn RFC that sits between the drain and the VCC line, and then just capacitor coupled again through 100 nanofarad capacitor there, the RF through to a simple low pass filter there, and then through the antenna relay here and out the antenna port. Like I say, it's only putting out a couple of watts, which is not where I want it to be. Ideally, I want it to be at 5 watts. And as I sort of said in that video there with that QSO, that it's that I had the theory, you know, and I did the I did some experiments, and if I just, here goes one of the experiments I was playing around with. I initially tried 2N3053s. Then I had a 2N2219A. Here goes a couple of BD139s with the heat sinks off. Just playing around with a push-pull configuration of an amplifier there. The reason why these wires are sticking out is I've just been playing around with the turns ratio. Initially I was playing around with 4:1 on the input, and then 1:4 on the output, and then just sort of playing around with different ratios. Bottom line is, this amplifier that I was playing around with, it's just wasn't performing how it should have. I was working out, you know, RL equals VCC squared over 2 times the power out to give my desired load resistance for each device. So therefore that would be doubled with a push-pull configuration, then transformed up through that output amplifier. But like I say, with the theory and the simulation, it just wasn't quite working out where I want it to be. So as you would have heard in that video, my intent moving forward for the next series of videos, and certainly where what I want to do over the next bit of time is to have a look at power amplifiers, specifically push-pull, and see if I can't improve on that, and then perhaps maybe even look at reconfiguring this. I'm sort of in two minds about this. You know, 2 watts, yes, is less than 5 watts, but 5 watts is 5 watts. It's not 10 watts, it's not 100 watts. So when the band's open, you can make contacts, and this radio made a nice contact there, the first contact. So part of me is sort of thinking, well, maybe just leave this radio exactly how it is, and take it tramping, and set up the little homemade end-fed half-wave dipole with a little homemade or homebrew antenna tuner, and use it. Why does it have to be 5 watts? Arguably, with slightly less power, then I'll get better battery performance. So maybe maybe I'll do that. But I still want to look at power amplifiers as a whole, and see if I can't improve on that. It's I don't seem to have too many problems with the receiver side of the house. That seems to work well each time, but it's just the power amplifiers, for whatever reason, I can't quite get that to come out right. I've just noticed, and I'll point it out, you'll just notice there a little 10 k ohm resistor there. That's connected to a 100 nanofarad capacitor. I found that when I was testing this pre-driver on the copper board on the table here, it was working fine. It was solid and robust. But when I say robust, what's the word? Yeah, it wasn't oscillating. But I found that for whatever reason, when I put it into here, and then actually subsequently when I take it back out of here and back onto the bench, this first stage was breaking into to low frequency oscillations around, it was in the kilohertz range. So what I did in the end, I played around with that emitter degeneration, but I decided in the end to leave that in place and to provide just a little bit of negative feedback between the collector and the base. So I'm taking a pickoff from the collector through a 100 nanofarad capacitor, and the only role of that capacitor there is to be DC isolation, so I don't short through that 10k resistor the collector voltage, or the voltage at the collector through to the base. So that's a DC isolation, and then this 10k ohm resistor. It was the highest value that, and just one value down, that gave this some good stability. So that seems to be now nice rock solid. So that's just an additional piece that I had to put in after the fact. But like I say, that was breaking into oscillation both with the amplifier in the radio and also on the bench. So something changed there. I don't know what it is, but hey, this is part of experimenting, is actually getting the radios up and running and playing around with trying to work out what's going on. Just as interest sake, I just spotted it, so I'll mention it. Again, a little trim pot there with that 100 nanofarad capacitor to earth, and that's just swiping that bypass capacitor across the 330 ohm resistor in parallel with that 1k ohm, just to allow me to vary the gain of the stage here to keep things nice and stable. Rightio, I feel like I'm sort of starting to ramble now, so I probably will knock it on the head here and put this video up. I apologise for the sort of extended first part of the video with the first contact, but it was worth putting up. Like I say, I'll normally run this radio on headphones with a little speaker there, just for the sake of it. It was nice and easy. As you can see there, it takes up little or no room. That space you can see there was space I had anyway, and I was never going to use all of it up using the headphone jack, so it was nice and easy to put that in place. But certainly that external speaker, you can sort of hear how nice the radio actually sounds, so that's good. Right, anything else to pass on? There's been a couple of questions about how I make these circuit boards, so I'll probably, if I can, over the next week or so, or a couple of weeks, I'll put up a video and I'll just make up an amplifier and just leave the camera running just to show that what I do there. But that's the back end of the radio. Power supply coming in there, microphone. Obviously antenna amplifier down, antenna port I should say, down there, and then back around to the power amplifier. But all in all, that works really well. Like I say, good size there for taking. Not too heavy at all, so that'll fit in the pack just nicely. So there you go. I'll say 73s, and it's not quite the new year here, so I will wish everybody a very happy new year, and I'll see you in January, where I'll continue on, like I say, playing around with power amplifiers. Until then, have a new year, or happy new year, and drive safely, be safe, have fun with your families, and I'll catch you back in the new year. Cheers all.